There's nothing Singaporeans hate more than a mess. Littering can cost you up to $1,500. Chewing gum is tightly restricted to medical, yes, medical use. No, I don't know what that means. Even failing to flush a public toilet can earn you a fine. It's all part of a system that treats cleanliness not as a suggestion, but as a civic obligation. And it's a lesson that made global headlines back in the 1990s when one American teenager found himself on the wrong side of a bamboo cane for vandalizing some parked cars. Hit it, Weird Al.
Once there was this kid who took a trip to Singapore and brought along his spray paint, and when he finally came back, he had cane marks all over his bottom.
But some messes are harder to clean up than others, and today Singapore finds itself mired in a geopolitical muddle between its two most important partners. On the one side, a United States hell-bent on upending decades of globalization with trade wars and tariffs. And on the other, a rising China only too happy to reshape the global order in its own image. But I'm getting ahead of myself because Singapore, you have to first understand, is a bit of a miracle. Long before the skyscrapers and the sovereign wealth funds, geography determined Singapore's destiny. The small island nation sits on the confluence of the strategically vital Malacca Strait and South China Sea, and it has served as a vital trading post since as early as the 13th century. When the Suez Canal opened back in 1869, Singapore became the key refueling stop, the key warehouse, and the key economic broker between East and West. And yet Singapore's current wealth was far from certain. For much of its modern history, it was a small colonial outpost ruled by Britain, then brutally occupied by Japan during the Second World War. When it became independent in 1965, the ethnically divided and resource-scarce country was poorer by per-person GDP than South Africa or Jordan. But today, Singapore's per capita wealth is among the highest in the world, beating out the United States, Hong Kong, and Britain. Much of this success was thanks to its first prime minister and longtime leader, Kuan Yew, who pushed for radical openness to global trade and foreign investment, especially from the United States, also supported multinational corporations. He paired this economic openness abroad with a highly controlled political system at home, establishing a soft authoritarian rule under a dominant party that persists to this day. It's a socio-economic bargain that has mostly paid off for its 6 million citizens, because as the world has gotten richer, so too has Singapore. But in recent years, that rising tide has turned choppy. Here's Singapore's president speaking at the IMF late last year.
Multilateralism and the belief in the mutuality of nations is at its weakest in 80 years, at the very stage when it is needed most.
In an era of increasing economic uncertainty and geopolitical competition, smaller nations find themselves being forced to pick sides. But for a country like Singapore, whose very existence depends on not picking sides, that's a real problem.